Would you consider an internationally recognized talent, a three-time Guinness Book World Record holder, winner of ESPN's City Slam National Three-Point Shooting Contest, one of the greatest playground ballers of all time, as noted by Slams Magazine's special collector's edition, not to mention the one or two movies or shows highlighting his life? Would you consider this person a loser or a failure? Yet, with all those incredible accomplishments throughout life, the stories about Jackie Ryan, Blackjack, always seem to focus on the mistakes, missteps, or failures that other people hung around his neck, like the series in Netflix titled Losers, which features Jackie Ryan in one of his episodes. Jackie, I'd love to hear how that opportunity came about and what you thought about it.
Sure. Well, Losers. Yeah, that's harsh. So they did a series of 8 inspirational sports stories from around the world, and I am one of them. It's all about like the agony of defeat, redemption through failure, and finding your purpose in life. Our society is all about winning, 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 winning. Everything is winning. Well, what about when you don't win? What about when you get knocked to the ground? Do you lay there with a puss on your face, or do you get up, fight, and make something of yourselves? That's what all 8 episodes are. Netflix Losers. So they called me, they found me through, I have a lot of stuff on social media. They saw my YouTube documentary called Release, the Jackie Ryan story, along with all the other stuff. And they called and said, would you be interested? I said, sure.
That's amazing. So when you first heard the series was titled Losers, what was your take? Were you like, this is just another great opportunity? Or was this, oh my God, someone else going to be talking about, how I didn't do this or I didn't do that? What was your first initial take on that?
Well, I already knew what it was going to be about. Then they didn't have a title at first. They had a couple of others, which I don't remember, but Losers is the one that stuck. And, I go around the schools and I perform in front of schools, and I want to tell kids and the teachers about, check out Netflix. The name of the series is Losers. And I'm like, yeah, that's harsh. And then I explained it to them why they named it that. It's all about people that either made it, almost made it, fell from graces, hit the bottom, rock bottom, and then reinvented themselves, climbed up out of that hole, and made something of themselves.
I love that. And, it's amazing because we all, I remember doing things as a kid or as a young adult that until someone else reacted, I'm like, oh, I thought that was okay. Or I thought I was successful at that. And then somebody else sort of came and then hung, well, that was a mistake or that was terrible. And you're like, whoa, maybe that wasn't, I thought it was sort of a good thing. When you were going through all of those things, did you immediately label that outcome as a failure or a mistake? Or did it develop over time when people just started saying to you, oh, how did that happen? Or how could you do that? Or how could you make this mistake? When you were going through some of those things that were highlighted in that series, which is a great series, what was going through your mind?
Well, I was going through those hard times, man. I really did. I hated myself. I had the suicidal thoughts, and, there was no light at the end of the tunnel. And then by the grace of God, someone discovered me and I became a Harlem Wizard, and that was it. Did a 180, totally changed my outlook, changed my, what's the name I'm looking for? We were just talking about it. Changed my direction. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Changed my mindset.
That changed your mindset.
Changed my mindset. That's it. And it was all straightforward from there. There was no way I was going to fail.
See, that's amazing because at this time, I knew you. We were friends. We would go out and we would have dinner. We would socialize together. And you'd ride your bike up to the restaurant or the bar, wherever we were out. You always had a big smile on your face. And I know you had just, come from 5 different ballparks and you had just played, half a dozen different games. And it always seemed like there was a smile on your face. I never saw any of these struggles that you were going through. How was that sort of just making sure that you kept everybody else happy? You never really sort of tried to drag anybody down with some of these thoughts that were going through your mind.
Well, for the most part, is when I was alone, where I was able to just really think of who I am, where I'm going, why am I a nobody, but when I got to be out with my friends who loved me, I got to be fun, loving Jackie Ryan. When I was on the basketball court, I got to be the fun show off killer on the court. I never wanted to play basketball like all my other friends. I wanted to make it a show, and kill you and embarrass you and have fun.
Yeah, it's amazing when you start thinking about how we begin. At some point in life, we start to try to live up to everybody else's expectations. We lose track of what we want, right? And we think that the only way to be happy is to meet those outside expectations. And you went from being happy and playing in the parks and just giggling constantly, because that's all I ever saw was a big smile on your face, to people wanting you to be in a more structured environment and do with the gifts that you were given. People expected different things from those gifts. You only expected one thing: to go have fun. And every time you tried to meet somebody else's expectation of what you should do with those gifts, it ended up in a mistake, a misstep, or a failure that person would then hang around your neck and say, "Oh, you didn't do it." And you're like, I never wanted to do this.
Right, Jerry. For instance, my dad was a longshoreman. That was a great job, great benefits. He made a lot of money overtime. For him, he had 5 kids. It's tough to, take care of 5 kids on that salary. But the books opened, meaning there was jobs opening, and they were doing a lot of with cars, taking the cars off the ships to the parking lot, putting cars back on, and all that. So he got me a job, and I was in maybe my mid-20s to late 20s, and he said, "I got your job on as being a longshoreman." I went right to my mother. I was like, "Mom, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be a longshoreman." So I told my father that I didn't want to do it. And at this point, I think I was working at the Fulton Fish Market, where I, made enough money for beer and sneakers. And if I had enough money where I didn't have to go and shape up to work, I wouldn't go to work. So the thought of getting a job that wasn't fun, even though I'd be making good money, I didn't want any part of it. My father wanted to kill me. He was gonna get me in the ILA, the International Longshoremen's Association, and I wanted no part of it.
Did you ever end up going on day one or any of it? Did you ever try it?
Didn't even try it. Didn't want to. Yeah, and then maybe what is it, 28 to 30, maybe 10, 11, 12 years later is when I found my calling. Someone discovered me, and I became a Harlem Wizard.
So it's hysterical. It's almost like, every time someone gave us a new expectation, it took us in a different direction, right? It took you in a different direction. You went left, left, left until you couldn't go left. Then you went right, right, right until you couldn't go right anymore. And then they finally down the middle was the Harlem Wizards, which obviously was an incredible organization that took you in with open arms. But yeah, I think Tony Robbins says you'll never be successful in life if you're trying to live up to everyone else's expectations. It's a constant moving target, right? And the minute you don't hit those expectations, they're quick to say, "Ooh, not so good." Like, what am I thought I did a good job
Yeah.
on all those things. That's amazing, my kids. So it's so funny, right? So we both have kids now. My kids see you as a success. Like when I showed them the Netflix series Losers, they're like, "Why is he on the one that says Losers, Dad?" Well, I'm like, it's about how he overcame all these obstacles, right? So the people, I think your friends, we all see you as always a winner. It's when you try to do these other elements and take those talents and those gifts elsewhere that I don't think any of us will ever be successful in life, trying to meet other people's expectations. But those detours can take a while. You're talking about a decade of your life.
Absolutely. Yeah. Took me a while.
In that decade, was there any point you were happy, or was it just a constant struggle?
I was happy on the basketball court. I was happy in the bars. I was happy chasing girls. But, when I thought about life and where am I going and how am I going to make a living, I didn't care. And it was sad. It was bad. It was, I knew how people looked at me. But when I was on the basketball court, I didn't think about it. When I was out in the bars with my friends, I didn't think about it.
It's crazy, right? That it could be something could be right in front of you. You're talking about an organization like the Harlem Wizards that came in, accepted you with open arms, like just said, "Go be crazy." And you're like, "Really? Like anything I want? Like seriously?" And they're like, yeah,
Yeah.
please.
Go play ball and make people laugh.
And you're like, you really, you're
Go
not going
play
to make
ball,
me.
show off, and make people laugh.
It's crazy, right? And then that you could find a place that could actually read your mind and embrace you with so much love and success and acceptance. But and then we spend most of our life chasing just the opposite. Like, you think I should be doing this? Oh, okay. And then we run down that alley for 10 years and we finally come back. But I think the way you fought through all those obstacles and the way you were able to uh, take everybody else's expectations about what to do with your gifts and actually allow them to have a voice without shouting them down, it just makes you even such a bigger and a more special person that, you did take the time to try to chase all those other things. They weren't right for you. And you kept chasing them until they had a point where it emotionally drained you of your happiness, of what you wanted in life.
Yeah. I kept barreling through, fighting, digging for years and years and years. And then it happened. It found me. And I said, this is it. This is why I'm here.
I love it. And I saw Mark Zuckerberg did an interview one time, and somebody asked him, what was the aha moment on Facebook? I'm like, when he got a girlfriend, considering that's why he created in the first place, right? To meet girls. But no, he said something amazing. And it's similar to what you said. And it's like, I never had an aha moment. He said, I just kept going. And eventually I got to that place. Just like you never let one of those obstacles stop you. You just kept moving forward. You just kept trying to chase down what was going to make you happy. And you were able to get there. And I think a lot of us struggle with that. And at times we give up and we say, nothing's ever going to make me happy. Right. So what do you say to that person who is struggling right now, is in that 10-year gap where you were at your worst? What helped you keep moving forward? What was that inner thought? What was that sort of mantra in your head going, don't stop?
Just kept doing what I loved, which was basketball, entertaining people, my friends. Just kept going. And, by the grace of God, they discovered me, the Wizards, and that was it.
I love that. And you said something wildly important that I don't think enough of us put enough stock into. You kept doing what you loved. You kept doing things that brought joy to your heart. I think when we're struggling, and we sort of pause and stop moving forward, we stop doing what makes us happy. That's the one thing you never stopped doing. You never stopped doing what made you happy. Right. And even if you had to go, because I think we used to ride your bike into the city. We used to see you would have ridden your bike to like 5 or 6 different ballparks. Right.
Brooklyn, Manhattan, Queens, all on my bicycle.
In one day. And then you'd go play basketball. You would literally, that's insane.
And then you or Dave would say, Jackie, we're in the city, come on in. And I knew drinks were on the house. And I said, what's another 13 miles on my bicycle over the Brooklyn Bridge and all the way up to the Upper East Side? And then I just come in on my bicycle. And I remember the one time at the mug shot, there was one little step to get up. There was a curb and then a step to get in the bar, and the doors were open. And you guys were right there. I saw you, and I just never stopped on my bicycle. Jumped the curb, then jumped that little step, came right in, hit the brakes, and then Dave handed me 2 Coronas, and they went like this. One sip, done. And then the party started. It was like I won the championship of a summer league game with everybody rah rah jumping on each other and everything. Jackie, what's up?
We forget how to have fun, right? And that was something that is your biggest gift. It's like, even in those tough times, Jackie, you never forgot how to have fun, and you never had the fun at someone else's expense. You actually always had fun and included everybody with you. You made sure that everybody was smiling along with you. And as I was just going through, I was making a list of the 50 most successful people that I could think of in the world. What were their 10 top rules for success? And I wanted to see if there's anything in common, right? What was that one thing? And strangely, I'm like, okay, is it going to be an Ivy League education? Is it going to be the epiphany? Is it going to be a connection to spiritual connection? No, the number one thing was make sure you're having fun, right? That was the number one thing that I think it was like 47 of the 50 most successful people had in their list. And you never stop doing that. You never stop going. That's an incredible message to give people. Hey, don't forget to have fun. And don't forget to enjoy life. You know, the way you've continued to move forward, the way you've become an incredible father, you become you've had an ability, and we'll end on this, that people thought you should be in the NBA. And we don't know how that story would have gone or what would have happened. But I remember you telling me a story. You were doing a halftime show at maybe Notre Dame, or at one of these other, incredible facilities. And some kid, it was like, 10'2", is eyeing you down the hallway. And you look at him and he looks at you and you're like, okay, well, like, what's going on? And the kid comes over, gives you a big hug and said, I'll never forget when I was 3 years old, or whatever the age was, I beat you in a long shot, right? And
I'll tell you real quickly. His name is Matt Ryan. He played for Notre Dame, then he transferred to Vanderbilt. So me and Morgan are there. We warm up before the game to do our halftime show. And then we're just walking around. We're walking around, and there's this big guy getting water on the side, and I'm checking what sneakers he has out and how big he is. He's like 6'7", 6'8". And I'm walking by, and we catch eyes, right? I'm like, and then I turn back to walk, and I hear, hey, BlackJack. I went, he's like, I beat you in a shooting contest. I'm like, no way, where? And so it was at Iona Prep. My friend coached him, Iona Prep High School, and I've gone up there for years to do my act. And at the end of my act, I'd say, all right, who thinks they could beat me in a shooting contest? And he was a little camper, like 9, 10 years old. And he came out, and, I had to shoot from the 3-point line, and they would shoot from the foul line. But he beat me. He beat me fair and square. And he said, I went home and told my father that I beat BlackJack. So imagine the confidence for a little kid. I'm supposed to be this street ball legend, greatest shooter in the world, and a 10-year-old kid beats me. I mean, I loved it for his confidence.
Unbelievable. And where did he end up? He ended up playing at Notre Dame and Vanderbilt. I mean, this
Notre Dame, Vanderbilt. We're friends now on Instagram. Matt Ryan, yeah.
That's amazing. So, it's funny, people say about your mistakes or the failures. I just see that as an incredible success. If I could have that type of effect on a handful of kids, I know that I've, made a difference in this world. So you certainly have made a difference in the world. Jackie, where can people find you and find all your fun stuff? Right? YouTube, Instagram. What's your YouTube channel?
YouTube is BlackJack, the Hoop Wizard. And my Instagram is BlackJack21.
Fantastic. Jackie, thank you. Have a great, great day, and be awesome. Continue the fight.
Thanks, Jerry. You the man.